Next time you step outside, look up. When you spot a white shape drifting overhead, your instinct is probably to name it. You point and say, "There is a cloud," as if you're pointing at a car or a building, a solid, isolated object taking up space. But the ancient texts of Nexoran offer a different perspective. In the sovereign desert, towering stone monoliths hum with a resonance that anchors the shifting sands and aligns the atmospheric winds. According to the lore of this desolate realm, a figure known as the Child Witness once approached the primordial forces that govern the world. The child looked at the keepers of water, time, earth, and wind, and asked a single question: "Which of you is the cloud?" The gathered entities fell silent. They realized the cloud was not a single being among them. It was what happened between them, an active, temporary coherence of moisture, pressure, and time. Viewing a cloud as an isolated thing is a failure of observation. To truly read the sky, we must look past the white shapes and decode the invisible relationships that temporarily give the atmosphere its form. The Nexoran myth begins with Falmira, the guardian of continuance, who carried a golden vessel containing all the latent, invisible moisture in the world. But this moisture faced a physical limitation. Pure water vapor cannot condense into a cloud on its own. It needs a solid surface. Without an anchor, it remains invisible. The myth introduces Gorolith, who releases dust and ash. The invisible moisture clings to this debris, finally taking shape. In Nexoran, this is called the third law. Earth rises invisibly into sky. In meteorology, these particles are known as condensation nuclei. Dust from the Sahara, salt from the oceans, and pollen from forests are constantly lifted into the upper atmosphere to provide this necessary surface. Every cloud carries the suspended, floating memory of the Earth below. Those droplets need a way to reach the upper atmosphere. The Nexoran texts attribute this motion to the Symbolism Council, a gathering of elders representing competing atmospheric forces: warmth, cold, pressure, and density. These forces never find stillness. Their temperature and pressure differences create powerful vertical updrafts, carrying the Earth-seeded droplets miles into the sky. This diagram shows a threshold line tracking altitude and temperature, known in science as the dew point. As rising air cools, it crosses this altitude, condensing into mist. The visible cloud is entirely supported by massive, previously invisible columns of heat and moisture below. A cloud's physical shape is not arbitrary. Its flat bottoms and billowing tops are a visible, real-time map of the exact thermal and pressure thresholds crossed in the air around it. Sometimes temperature and pressure differences become extreme. Nexoran lore describes these intense formations as the prides of the sky, untamed storms driven by Kyraven. When warm, moist updrafts collide directly with freezing, heavy downdrafts, the internal friction reaches a breaking point. Water droplets freeze, shatter, and generate immense electrical charges, resulting in hail and lightning. Yet, a figure in the myth named Mascara issues a warning. We must not mistake a difference in appearance for a separation of essence. The calmest morning fog and the most violent afternoon thunderstorm are composed of the exact same materials and relationships. Extreme weather represents the atmosphere urgently reorganizing itself under intense thermal pressure to find a new balance. The chronicles of the Continuance Basin describe a dark era when interpreters arrived with perfect maps. They sought to lock down the sky's dynamic nature. As this record shows, scholars believed the central gateway was a celestial astrolabe, seeking to command the very elements. By turning active processes into rigid, worshipped symbols, they caused the entire system to fail. The road of continuance split, and the clouds gathered without ever releasing their rain. Our own historical impulse to label and categorize often risks this same stagnation. When we prioritize a static definition or a names-only list of species, we trade the complexity of a living system for the comfort of a finished map. Attempting to freeze a dynamic relational system into a permanent object inevitably destroys the very system you are trying to preserve. To save the sky, the primordial figures shattered their own emblems. Orindor broke the celestial ring. Vaelmyra cracked the golden vessel. They realized that for water to cycle and time to move forward, the structures holding them had to be allowed to break open. Existence requires the freedom to change. Every time a cloud disperses into the wind or a heavy storm rains itself out, it is enacting this necessary fracture to keep the earth alive. The form dissolves so the life within it can continue. The final lesson of the Cloud Reader's Guidebook is carved into the gates of the basin. The world does not endure by remaining whole. It fractures so that existence can continue through it.